Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today I'm very excited to be talking about a director who I've been meaning to watch for a very long time, but I finally got through it. I've been going through Werner Herzog's, uh, box set from Shout Factory, and it's a big boy. Uh, there are about 12 movies, or 14 movies, I believe, on this box set, and a lot of people recommend getting the BFI, the British Film Institute's edition of this, but I think this one's just as valid to have because this was really cheap actually on the Shout Factory sale, so that's why I got it. But yeah, Werner Herzog has been a director I've been wanting to watch for years, and I just never did because his movies, when reading about them, sounded amazing in terms of the behind the scenes and all the stories that you hear, especially with regards to Klaus Kinski, who he collaborated with many times over his career. But my issue is that these movies are more interesting behind the scenes than the actual movies themselves. The majority of these movies I would rate about 3 stars out of 5, where I thought they were good, and I just don't feel like ever rewatching any of these movies, except just a small handful that I really enjoyed. And the ones that I really enjoyed ended up being the ones that were a lot more strictly documentaries than they were actual feature films. Because from what I've heard, and I don't know that much about Werner Herzog to begin with, but from what I've been reading about all these years is that Werner Herzog is a much better documentarian, and he's not as interested in movie making as he is just filming reality through his, lens. And I love it, but at the same time, there's a documentary on this release specifically called My Best Fiend, which is all about him and his relationship with Klaus Kinski. And the entire time I was thinking to myself, man, I wish I'd seen this first because I did not have enough context watching these movies. I just watched them from beginning to end, watched them chronologically, and I don't think these movies are enjoyable in that sort of approach. Werner Herzog strikes me as a film director who I need to be in the right mood for, I need to do research on, I need to do a lot more because it was just really hard to get through this set. It took me a while, it took me about a year or so. I got this sale last summer, I believe, in 23. Because in 2024, I started the box set, and it took me a while to get through it. And I think the thing that I really love most about his movies is the subject matter and also how interesting he films his subjects, because his cinematography that he uses is so documentary like, but also very unique. And I really enjoyed that. Almost all of his movies, I would say, I had zero issue with watching, visually. None of these movies bored me. None of these movies looked bad. All of the settings were very interesting, great to look at. All the actors were great as well. Klaus Kinski, although he's a raging madman and just seems like someone who I would never want to meet ever, I think he's a really fascinating person. And watching him in these movies, you basically get who he is off screen, judging from what I learned in the documentary My Best Fiend, which I thought was one of my favorite documentaries of this set that he had made. But it was the last one, and I felt like that was the one that should have came first in my watch order. So for anyone who hasn't seen Werner Herzog, please watch that first. Yes, you do get a lot of kind of highlights of both of their careers, but it was basically, it got me interested in rewatching these movies because I realized how much on-screen material there was that was actually just them filming and not planning it. It was just really interesting watching that documentary, but I guess my favorite movies out of this set, I'll just give my top 5 because I don't really have too much to say about his career overall, except to say that I felt totally unprepared. I enjoyed, I would say, about half of these movies. A quarter of them I just could not stay awake during. And then the last quarter, I would say, I just need a rewatch, and I would probably enjoy them more. But coming at number 5, I guess I'll build in some tension or suspense down to my number 1. But my number 5, I would say, is Fitzcarraldo, which is about a guy who gets punished and sent off into the Amazon. I believe it's the Amazon. Because he impregnates I guess a lord's 3 daughters, and he's pissed off, so he's like, Klaus Kinski, you're going off into the jungle, and you are in charge of moving this ship over the mountain. And I loved it. I really enjoyed watching this monumental task being done. And it's not just any boat. This is like a huge, like, cruiser. Like, I don't know how, they do it on screen, so I know how they did it, but just the amount of effort that was involved, I could not imagine having to be a part of that. And watching the behind the scenes in My Last Fiend, where they talk about that movie, it was fascinating, like, how just on the razor's edge they were, because at any moment, this entire project could have failed. And I really love that final sequence where they're getting this giant ship over the mountain. And Klaus Kinski is just losing his mind. And watching the behind the scenes where he's yelling at everybody. And Werner Herzog is kind of standing there just trying to keep everybody together, making sure it doesn't devolve into chaos. Was just a lot of fun to watch. Werner Herzog is just one of a kind. Like, it's just really amazing watching just the type of films that he makes, because no one told him to go move a boat over a mountain. And my God, he does it. And he does it so successfully. Or I wouldn't say, like, it was so successfully that he made it look easy, but it was more just like a, wow, what a miracle. I thought this would fail. And it doesn't. And it's just amazing. My number 4 is one that I've seen a lot of times throughout college, and it's the movie that never inspired me to continue watching his movies. But it was good enough that I was interested in his movies. And it's the movie Aguirre, The Wrath of God, also starring Klaus Kinski. I really love this movie in terms of its cinematography. I love the costume designs. I love this expedition of this kind of like hellish journey through just the most dangerous, treacherous lands you could ever be in. And when they talk about filming that movie and My Best Fiend, they talk about how hellish it was. And they had a lot of footage of Klaus Kinski just being a madman, because this was such a taxing shoot for them. And the Native Americans that they had in this movie, they kept calling them Native Indians, but they're not from India. They're from the American continent, so I'm going to call them Native Americans. But they were talking about how all of them were so, like, nervous and scared around Klaus Kinski, because in their culture, when they are trying to solve a disagreement, they're a lot less in your face and confrontational and a lot softer in the talking to people and the human contact and all of this. And you watch them because in My Best Fiend, they have a lot of B-roll from all these different movies where Klaus Kinski is just raining hell on everybody. And you can see all of them just looking at him like he's just the most dangerous snake. And he's about to just, without a second thought, just lash out at somebody. And he does that a lot. You see it on the documentary. But there's a great scene kind of towards the middle, I would say, where they are sort of intimidating Klaus Kinski back, because Werner Herzog talks about this in the documentary, but apparently they had Klaus Kinski thought he had a good relationship with these Native Americans, and none of them liked him. So Werner Herzog, when they were filming this scene, he was like, hey guys, like, we can see how uncomfortable you are, like, you can do whatever you want during this scene, you know, get in his face, this is your time to kind of get your revenge on him. So they're playing really loud music, they're banging sticks in his face, they're getting in his face and glaring at him, like really making him uncomfortable. And you can see, because Klaus Kinski is sitting down facing the camera when all this is happening, you can see him, some gears are shifting in his brain where he's like, should I get angry right now? Like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? And Werner Herzog said, like, they had one take and, like, that was it. So he was very happy that Klaus Kinski didn't explode the entire scene. But I thought that was a really fascinating anecdote that Werner Herzog was talking about, because while watching this movie over the years that I've seen it, because I just kept rewatching it, hoping I would get motivated to continue Herzog's work, but I never did for some reason. But every time I would rewatch it, I was like, wow, this just seems like a gauntlet trying to film this movie. Like, this just looks so, like, intense and awful. Like, how can any of these people do this? And they couldn't. They could barely hold on. Werner Herzog talked about how isolated he felt while making this movie, because everyone slowly turned on the director, because you had Klaus Kinski, who was terrorizing everybody, and then you had Werner Herzog, who was just trying to get as much footage as he could and get the movie made. And it was just really fascinating. So, but my number 3 movie that I really enjoyed from the set was called Land of Silence and Darkness. This is another documentary about a older woman who is deaf and blind, and she forms a school for the deaf and blind where she helps them kind of live a more normal life, to where she teaches them language and not sign language, because they're blind as well, but she teaches them, and it's just such a fascinating documentary. This was one of the first ones I watched, which made me really happy and really excited to go into the set. It's one of the first ones in the set that I think it's disc 2, maybe disc 3. But this was such like a lovely documentary. Watching this woman just make all these people's lives better. And Werner Herzog is completely off camera. He is just filming all of these different meetings, filming this woman, how she contacts these people, how she gets in touch with blind and deaf people who need support. And it was just wonderful. I just really enjoyed it. I loved sort of becoming aware of this woman, because I'd never heard of her before. And her name is Fini Straubinger, who she's from Germany. And it was just so fascinating watching this documentary. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's on YouTube, I believe. Last I checked, it was. So in the Land of Land of Silence and Darkness. If you want to watch that, please go watch it. This was my third favorite documentary. This was just so nice to watch, so informative, really inspiring, just amazing. I really enjoyed it. But my number two that I really enjoyed, I'm trying to go faster because I'm kind of just rambling at this point, and for these movies, I do recommend you watch them, so I don't want to talk about too many spoilers, but it's not really easy to spoil them either, the documentaries. But my number two that I really, really enjoyed was Lessons of Darkness, which was a documentary about the oil fields in Kuwait, where they were burning, and Werner Herzog was wanting to film this because everything in this documentary looks like hell. Just the constant infernos that are just raging around the camera and around the subjects of this documentary. It was just hellish to watch. I really enjoyed the cinematography the most in this, because at times I felt like I was watching a Andrei Tarkovsky movie, where the camera would just sit there and you would watch the environment just doing what it's doing. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot more meditative than a lot of the documentaries that he had done, which is why I felt like I was watching a Tarkovsky film at times, and that was really cool. I love hearing all of the different stories that the different oil field workers had. Yeah, it was just great. I don't remember too much of specifics in this movie, but I remember just really, really enjoying it. And with that in mind, what is my favorite movie from the set? It's another documentary, and this one is called Little Dieter Needs to Fly. And it's about a German-American pilot who was shot down during the Vietnam War, and he went through a lot of torture. And it basically just goes through his life, and it is so fascinating. I watched this just the other night, and I love documentaries anyways, but like this, I love like wartime documentaries. I love primary source footage, because I know it's real. I know that what I'm seeing is happening, and it had happened. And watching this guy tell his story and have the footage overlaid with it was just really powerful. And this was easily my favorite one, because it doesn't skip right to the Vietnam War. You get a large part of this documentary dedicated to him wanting to become a pilot since he was a kid. He always wanted to be in the air flying. And it was just amazing. I loved this documentary. Why it's my favorite one. It was just phenomenal. I would highly recommend everybody to go watch it. But I think that's really all I have to say about this set. I know it wasn't much to begin with, but again, I'm probably going to have this video titled something like, "Is Werner Herzog Overrated?" And I'm mostly just doing that for clicks, but I don't think he's overrated at all. I just don't think I connected to it as much as I could have, because I don't know as much context as as I should have had, or should have known before going into this box set. But this was Werner Herzog's Shout Factory set. If you don't have it, I would definitely recommend it. I don't know how different it is compared to the BFI set. I know there's a few short films they do not have included, or that they do have included that's not included here. But yeah, this was just a fun journey, I think. I'm very happy I took it, but I think I just need to do more research before doing a set like this again, because I don't know. Again, those 5 or 6 movies that I mentioned, along with or the 5 that I talked about, and then my best Fiend. Those were my 6 favorite, and you can see how little I kind of had to talk about it, and how little I have to talk about Werner Herzog as a director. I appreciate him, but I guess he's just not for me. Maybe I just need to get older and read a lot more of his books, watch more behind the scenes, all that. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. What are your favorite films by Werner Herzog? That'll be it for today. So thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.